So thinking back to it, I think the Diablo play, in hindsight, the Diablo play was good, but you just can't afford to play Diablo that aggressively into Tychus, right? I mean, there was also a fair amount of CC with the Anubrak. There were so many team fights where Diablo would get cocooned and they just walk past him, get a pick on whether it be Stukov, Li Ming, Rexar. And then they'd come back for Diablo, and it was like, makes me wonder if maybe the Li Ming should have been Disintegrate to break those cocoons, because I do feel like that was a big part of the team fights in game one. We'll see what the bans are. I wonder if the dual double soak, Zul double soak could still be a thing on Tomb. I don't know. Anubrak's getting banned, yeah. It as good as the Anubrak was, I really do think that it was more the case of Popochas not being as comfortable against that hero. Nazebo also getting banned. Tiome, I think, is a big target ban player for Popochas, specifically because he is the highest MMR player on their team. And I do believe that Nazebo is his favorite hero, along with Zul'jin. Zul, baby. And Ana ban again. Man, honestly, looking at these teams' Heroes Lounge pages, I guess Deathstroke does play a fair amount of Ana, but not to a successful degree. That being said, they hadn't really played a lot of Anubrak either, and they pulled that hero out last game to really good effect. And what didn't we like last game? Kel'Thas is going to get banned. Not quite sure how I feel about that one. He's not as good on Spider Queen. I don't think it's exactly a high priority hero for Popochas either. And this time Popochas is going to grab the Gul'dan. Gul'dan, I'm surprised, wasn't the ban from Deathstroke. Just at a quick glance against Popochas roster, it is generally a hero that they play. Although I guess Kel'Thas is too. Johanna and the Tychus again. I think they're... Looks like Deathstroke is perfectly content giving Assassino the Diablo. They're saying, you want to pick Diablo? Great, we'll just pick Tychus back into it again. I do think that without the Anubrak, they are going to have a little bit more problem with that Diablo. He is going to be able to do a lot more work on the more squishy heroes on Deathstroke's team. And here's the Lili. This is their tried and true. And the Zul. The Zul from Los Popochas. Interesting. That I did not see coming. Looks like we see the Los Popochas Zul instead of the Deathstroke Zul. And the Lili to follow it up. While I do think that Lili is a comfort pick for Popochas, I am a little bit worried that it isn't going to be able to deal with the amount of damage that Tychus is going to output, especially on a single target. Lili's heroics just, I don't think, are quite impactful enough. That being said, I think that will maybe only be the case if the tank is something like a Diablo. So Arthas ban from Deathstroke, a Malfurion ban from Popochas. Malfurion's a great hero. Was it the pick that Deathstroke was planning on grabbing? I don't think so. And what is their damage going to look like? What support are they picking up? I honestly think they're going to grab the Stukov right now and damage dealer. Looks like they're grabbing Leoric for the soul lane. And Deckard as the healer. I don't think I've seen a single team play Deckard in all of Heroes Lounge NA Season 2. at least in our division. And I think a big majority of the reason that is because of the nerfs that he got to his mana. But then they did kind of buff it back to its previous state, so I think Deckard's a fine hero right now, but Stitches Cassia on the side of Popochas. So the Cassia is definitely another comfort pick for them. This time they have Tiome on the main tank instead of Assassino. Taking the Stitches away from Deathstroke, I suppose, but what's this last damage dealer? A Jaina. I know I was talking about the Lily not being able to heal up for her team, but I think looking at these drafts right now, I think Popochas has won this draft. I think Deckard's going to struggle to heal up the Gul'dan poke. I think Leoric is going to destroy Zool in this whole lane. He gets unstoppable through Hardened Bones or whatever his E talent is. Bone Prison, there we go. The Tychus damage is going to be good, but I don't think it's going to outrange Cassie and Gul'dan. And same thing with Jaina. I think the damage on the side of Deathstroke is very short-ranged. And their two frontliners, Leoric and Johanna, tend to be more in-your-face heroes, and I think there's going to be a disconnect between the front line and the back line of Deathstroke. Yeah, I worry for that. There isn't a whole lot of follow-up CC for the Stitches Hook. I guess there's the Horrify and the Bone Prison, I suppose, but there's a fair amount of mobility on the side of Deathstroke. Jaina can Ice Block, Leo can walk out, Tychus can dash, Johanna can Unstoppable away. Deckard's pretty unkillable if he Qs himself. And there's also not a hell of a lot of burst damage on the Popochas team. But I guess we'll see how it goes. I think level 1 definitely goes to Deathstroke. Even with the amount of poke that Popochas have, I think Deckard, Jaina, and Tychus are too strong at level 1 heroes. So we got the top hat on Johanna, Broski on Jaina, Dougie on Tychus, Anti-Freeze on Leoric, and Dick Cheney on Deckard Cain. And then for Popochas, Assassino is going to be on the Cassia, Tiome on Stitches, Ancient on the Zool, or no, excuse me, Ancient is going to be on the Gul'dan, Kvoth on Lily, and Foes Vijat on the Zool. Stitches Hook goes out, doesn't find a target. Let me move the camera back. I just remembered. Here we go. Nice little level 1 brawl coming out. The Arc has already gone to soak the top lane. Tychus has taken a bunch of damage, but he doesn't quite fall. Deckard doing his best to heal everybody up, but it's going to be pretty hard at level 1. Leoric has soaked the top lane and is coming down to try and deny the soak. Doing a good job. They actually end up missing the entire top lane of soak. Meanwhile, Zool's trying to do the same thing on the bottom lane, but he doesn't quite get there for the wave to reach towers. So Deathstroke is going to be able to rotate down and catch that soak if they're trying to, but it doesn't look like they are. Zool might actually be able to get a second wave into towers if nobody comes down. Jaina coming down to pick it up. She will be there to catch a majority of this soak, and I think that's going to put them, honestly, a quarter of a level ahead of Deathstroke once everything's said and done. Looks like a very, very strange rotation from Deathstroke. They seem to be ignoring the top lane altogether and just kind of 5-man rotating between mid and bot since Leoric was top. And already Zool's starting on the siege camp on bottom. I don't think Deathstroke has sniffed this out yet. And they are probably going to be able to pick that up. I think Leoric thinks he's mostly alone against the Stitches right here, even though there's only vision of 2 on the top lane. They do get a nice root onto Cassia, and she will fall. Deathstroke with the first blood. Sorry, second blood, I guess. Leoric, of course, will make it out through the Bone Prison. Will he? Yeah, he's fine. Deckard comes down to help him out. Pretty even on XP on Deathstroke. They do lose the siege camp on bottom, but they find the pick on top. Gina already at 9 regen globes. That's actually pretty absurd this early in the game. Cassia with the Q quest. Stitches with his E quest. Deathstroke also much more gems than Popochas. Doing a much better job grabbing those. Deathstrokes starting on their bruiser camp. It looks like Popochas is going to start theirs as well. Nice little dance on the bot lane as Stitches goes to turn in now Leoric. I think Deathstroke is 2 gems away from a turn-in. Yep, they have enough right now. Bruiser Cubes are going to clash in the middle. Looks like Cassia's getting caught out on top, but it won't be enough to kill her. She is going to have to retreat, but it probably will be enough for a turn-in for Deathstroke. That being said, they do have a good amount of siege to deal with the spiders. They have Gul'dan, they have Cassia. Even Stitches does a fair amount of damage. Johanna gets hooked, she will walk away with the Iron Skin. Meanwhile, Leoric and Zul are battling it out in the bot lane. Let's see what Deathstroke can do with this Web Weaver phase. Looks like they're going to be pushing mid. Jaina's maybe a little bit too far out, taking some tower shots there. Stitches is going to have to walk away, but so much damage from the Tychus. I really think this Tychus was the problem hero for Popochas last time, and it seems to be doing a lot of work this game. I think this is an entire front wall that they're going to end up getting here. Stitches is rotated top, so this is going to be a 4v3 on the mid lane with still a fairly healthy Web Weaver. They might even push for the fort here. Looks like they're going to be going bottom instead. Deckard's pretty low on mana. They can't really force too much. Maybe look for a pick on Stitches. Johanna can't quite get the condemn. They're content with just getting another front wall on the top lane. Meanwhile, all 3 front walls are down in a 4v4 fight. They're going to have to be careful. They're about to lose minions. Johanna will walk away. And the hook barely misses. That would have been a dead Johanna for sure. Meanwhile, it's pretty even on experience. I think Deathstroke definitely needs to rotate up for this wave. Jean is picking it up. And now Popochas are going to look for their turn in. I think Deathstroke needs to be really careful about this. They have a good, decent ability to poke the enemy team. They have the Johanna E, they have the Deckard zoning tools. Even Leoric can stall for a fair amount, I think. It should be fairly trivial for them to make sure that Popochas isn't able to turn in. Unfortunately for Popochas, all of their gems are pretty spread out. Tiame hasn't been doing a good job of making sure he's collecting most of them for him, but they are going to get pretty much all their gems turned in on bottom. A good interrupt from Johanna. Iron Skin is popped. She won't get rooted by the Zul, but she is going to beat Havok. Cassia. Oh, Cassia does end up getting taken out by the Gul'dan. And that is another pick for Deathstroke. It does kind of seem like they're running over Popochas right now. Maybe a little bit too greedy trying to get that turn in. A really good interrupt from the Johanna to make sure that that didn't happen. And now Deathstroke trying to look for their own turn and getting the gems. Probably a premature Iron Skin from the Johanna. I don't think she needed that. Again, there's not really any follow-up CC for the Stitches up right now. I think she needs to maybe be a little bit more conservative with that cooldown. Pushing into mid lane, not really doing much right now. Leoric's pushed the bottom lane out. Probably going to get that top tower. Meanwhile, Zul's soaking up top himself. Jane is going to rotate up for the soak. And now we have level 10s for Deathstroke. Popochas is going to try and sneak down and grab their turn in. I don't think this is a good idea, to be honest. I think Popochas needs to grab their level 10. I don't think they're not going to have level 10. Maybe they would. They'll probably have level 10 for the turn in. I take it back. Good hook on Jaina. There's no follow-up once again. And Stitches is getting super caught out. Does get kind of into the water, but a big entomb from Leoric is going to catch two people. Deckard goes down, but they trade it for two other kills. Johanna walks away. She has the Iron Skin. Lily ult comes through. And I do think a majority of the reason they lost those two heroes there is because they didn't quite have level 10 at the beginning of that fight. The 2-for-1 trade wasn't in their favor. Deathstroke is going to be able to defend these Web Weavers pretty much for free with the Odin and the Jaina damage. Probably the only damage that Popochas are going to get is in the top lane. Which honestly probably should have been prioritized a little bit more by Deathstroke, considering it is the boss pushing lane on this map. But the other two Web Weavers are pretty much dead. Most of their front walls are pretty intact. Looks like a small skirmish is breaking out here, but Popochas unable to get anything. There is a big entomb on Gul'dan, but he does stay up with the help of the Lily. Leoric gets out. Stitch's hook just completely whiffs. And I think Leoric needs to leave. He's way too low right now. Johanna gets a good condemn into the Deckard route, and that's going to be 2 kills. Another 2 kills for Deathstroke. The Water Elemental is going to make sure Stitches does not get out of here. Leoric will also get in his way. And he is going to be a tiny staggered death. And are they going to do boss? It looks like they are. I do think the death timbers are pretty small, but we know that Zul's on the bottom of the map. He won't be able to contest on top. Definitely that condemn into the Deckard route was so huge. Got them 2 picks. Definitely enough for them to get the boss. I don't think Popochas are going to be able to interrupt it in time, even though they have scattered it out, and that is going to be a boss. They're fairly low on mana. Jaina's pretty low. I think Johanna's pretty low on mana. Meanwhile, Zul's definitely going to be able to siege his bottom fort, but the boss will definitely take the top one in exchange. Honestly, a pretty good trade for Popochas. They end up trading a fort for a fort. And Zul is very intelligent about his rotation. His teammates are like, hey, they're not pushing with the boss, you need to get out, and he does so in a timely manner. So the fort for fort trade was good, but Deathstroke still have control of the map, and they are able to get another turn in. We'll see where they go with this. Looks like they're going to make sure that that top fort is down. The Deckard ult will lock down Zul. He is able to escape with the bone armor. The Water Elemental comes out. It's not going to be enough damage and just gets instantly bursted by the towers. That was 2 heroics on the side of Deathstroke. I don't think they're going to be able to do much more with these Web Weavers. Leoric on the bottom lane will probably take that fort. Once Cassia clears this wave, she's going to rotate down, and I think they might try and take a fight before 13, but it's going to be hard. Now that Jaina has Icy Veins, she has a second heroic ability. And Deathstroke is going to rotate. They're just going to let the Web Weavers push in. Unfortunate part for Deathstroke right now is that all their waves are pushed up super hard. It's going to be really hard for them to collect gems. Popochas is going to be able to get level 13 pretty easily. Oh, and here we go. They're making a rotation. They see that everyone's caught out. They do have level 13. I don't think Deathstroke wants to force this fight, but there is an entomb. It does go down on the Zul. Looks like Zul gets deleted, and the Lily heals just aren't enough. But Popochas fighting back. They managed to grab 2 kills in return. Somehow, nobody else dies. Tychus may be getting a bit too greedy there. I didn't pay attention to how Leoric or Johanna died, but I think Leoric didn't necessarily take advantage. Oh, he's not even Royal Focus at 13. Never mind. I'm actually really confused as to why he's trying to do bonus damage with his auto attack when there's 2 blinds on the enemy team. That seems like maybe he picked the wrong talent. Meanwhile, Popochas are going to get most of a turn in. Unfortunately, they can't get all of it. They're out of gems. Both teams are out of gems right now. Leora can walk away. What's up? Oh, fun. And now both teams are just trying to find their turn and still need about 10 gems for Deathstroke, and Popochas has enough, but they just need to find the turn in. Looking for a fight. I don't think Deathstroke wants to take this. I think Deathstroke can honestly just afford to give Popochas the turn in once they hit 16. Leoric hits an Entomb, but the rest of his team isn't there to follow up. He's taking a bunch of damage. Lily ult comes out. Oh, and the Cassia Lightning is doing so much damage to the backline. Leoric falls, but Cassia and Zul follow as well. Jaina barely staying alive on the backline, and the Odin is doing so much work. Lily almost falls, but Stitches is walking away, and Lily ends up going down. Gul'dan barely escapes with his life. Stitches goes down as well, and this will probably be a keep front wall for Deathstroke. Johanna's already taken some towers. Pops her Iron Skin just to make sure she doesn't take that damage. And yeah, definitely going to be a keep front wall here. They have the minion wave now. Tychus damage is coming in. Jaina has popped her Icy Veins. And they're going to back off here to maybe look for a turn-in. It looks like, yeah, that is what they're going to do. And another turn-in here. A third turn-in for Deathstroke. Or is that the second one? I can't remember. But Popochas is about to hit 16. I do believe Zul and Cassia are trying to grab it on the top lane. Hopefully they don't get rotated on. And Gul'dan will definitely pick it up on the bottom once this wave comes in. Level 16 is here. We have the Ruinous Affliction, which will be some pretty good damage, especially on the Johanna and the Leoric, who tend to be eating a bunch of damage from that Gul'dan right now. Webweavers are going to get cleared up kind of for free. It looks like Deathstroke is focusing on the top lane. They want this keep. They know that this is their win condition lane with the boss. If they do win another team fight, this is how they're going to end the game. A good hook on Leo, but again, there's just no CC to follow it up. He just walks out for free. The Odin is down. The Water Elemental is pretty soon to follow. And they will get the keep him back off. The Entomb there just to zone him out, it looks like. So much damage from the Gul'dan. And the hook does go out onto... What is that? It's Deckard. He hits a really big ult and is able to keep himself alive for a while. The Jaina damage comes through and they trade 1-for-1, but Johanna maybe gets a little bit too greedy trying to follow up on that big stay while and listen, and she ends up losing her life for it. 2-for-1 trade for Popochas, and it looks like they're going straight for the boss. This is honestly probably a good call for them. They have the Gul'dan damage to make sure that they can race it down pretty quickly. Lily should be able to top everybody off. And Deathstroke is going to give it up. Probably a smart play. They still have the fort in the top lane. That's probably all that the boss is going to get. Lily taking a lot of damage, though. She's got to be careful. Man, I feel like if Deathstroke had tried to invade, that might have been gone successful then, considering how low Lily is right now. But the boss is picked up. All the waves are turned in. And they get their web weavers on top of it. This is going to be a really, really strong push for Popochas. Luckily, they were able to grab their bruiser camp. That should mitigate the web weavers in the mid lane. Oh, and a little Entomb here on the Stitches. I think he's going to be able to walk out for free with the jugs. Big root for Deckard. Stay a while and listen. Cassia's so low. She walks back in for some reason. Ends up getting killed for it. Jaina pops her ice block. Stitches is getting slowed so much and taking so much damage from the Orc, but a good hook on the Tychus, and he will fall as well. Meanwhile, the boss pushing into the top keep, and Zul, having cleared the bruiser camp, is pushing in the mid fort. Still a fight breaking out, but no more picks. Leo is going to get hooked, but there should be some potions there to keep him up, unless the Horrify or the Corruption comes in for big damage. It will not. And it looks like Popochas will make it out with their lives. They're going to rotate down, maybe try and grab this mid fort. Jaina takes a lot of damage from the corruption. Hook goes out onto Jaina. She has Ice Block yet again. Manages to dodge the Stitches W and makes it out. Leo, unfortunately, trying to provide some peel, does lose his life, but probably the best here. Johanna's got to be careful walking through this minion wave. That's a lot of damage. Once her shield goes down, she might be in trouble. And that's the entire team, and there's her indestructible. She did pick up her level 20. Fortunately, it does keep her alive, but for how long, she does fall. Good Jaina damage. The Deckard ult is there, but it looks like Popochas is probably going to be able to get this keep. They have the jugs to keep them up for a while. Odin comes out. It's going to be doing big damage. Zul has joined the 4-man. He's looking for a pick with the Bone Prison. The Gul'dan poke is there. The Tychus Odin poke is there. Deathstroke is looking for an engage here. Good hook on Jaina again. She has Ice Block yet again. Manages to throw some cooldowns down. 3 kills. And it looks like Leoric is looking for a 4th on the Lili. Will he find it? I'm going to guess no. I don't think Leoric has enough damage for this Lili. And she will definitely make it out. But 4 heroes fall. Stitches on the backside. And Deathstroke is looking to end the game, I think. I don't know if Deckard can heal up this team, but Lili is very low. She's not even going to be able to back right now. I think maybe they'll just try and grab the Bruiser camp and then push in the mid keep and just be okay with that. Oh man, imagine if Johanna didn't pick that level 20 in time. I think if I was in Johanna in that position, I wouldn't have been able to pick my level 20 in time to stay alive. But they are going to siege down the mid keep with the help of the water elemental. It's just Lili to defend. What can she do? Are they going to look to end? Johanna definitely wants to, but the rest of her team says no. We're okay. Let's grab the Bruiser camp. Let's make sure we keep our map control. There are no gems on the side of Los Popochas. Eventually Deathstroke will get their turn in. Meanwhile, Deathstroke rotating down to the bottom lane to grab the siege camp. Leoric doing a bit of scouting for vision. And Popochas needs to take a fight at some point. Their 2 keeps down. They have all their heroics up. Something needs to happen right now before Deathstroke can get their turn in. They're still a fair ways out. Probably 8 or 9 waves of minions. And their waves are pretty pushed in. So Popochas has a little bit of time. They don't need to be super aggressive about looking for this fight. And they all know where Deathstroke is. They're all in the Bruiser camp. Stitches gets a hook on Leoric. Probably not the person you want to hook. And there's the Buried Alive on Lili. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Lili ult comes down. That's so much damage on Stitches. But look at the backline. Cassia and Gul'dan doing so much work. The Stalon on Listen comes out. Nobody dies. Oh, Cassia barely falls. The Odin getting so much poke value. And Popochas back off. Looks like Deathstroke are getting hungry. They see that the rest of Popochas are pretty low, but it looks like they're rotating up. Boss is up now. It has just come up. I think Deathstroke's probably going to look for it. Jaina and Deckard and Leoric already making their way over there. I think Popochas needs to contest this. If they give up this boss, it's probably game. Jaina's actually pretty low. I don't think Popochas realizes this, but the Deckard heals might not be enough. Johanna's also pretty low. I think if Popochas tries to invade here, they're gonna maybe get some work done. Stitch is looking for a hook. He doesn't find it. Johanna's doing her best to peel for her team, but the boss is not quite dead yet. All the damage is focused elsewhere. It's only Leoric standing, and it looks like they're just going to try and fight 5v4, giving up the boss. Leoric is so low, he's about to fall. Stitches gets a hook on Jaina, pops her ice block, and does end up dying. And this just looks like desperation trying to get the boss. It does go to Popochas, but at what cost for Deathstroke? They lose another hero with Leoric, but that's okay. He'll probably be up soon. They do still have a keep. As long as Deckard doesn't die here, I don't think this necessarily ends. Johanna definitely needs some health. the Tychus Odin is here. It's going to do some work on the boss. Meanwhile, Deckard is back getting mana and health. The boss is still pretty healthy as the keep is starting to fall. A good hook on the Deckard. The Horrify does not quite make it in time. I think that's a fair amount of cooldowns. Johanna gets ulted, but she does have her indestructible. She's going to walk out, and she will be okay thanks to the Deckard potions. Cassia does fall, but the boss is still pretty healthy. I don't know if Deathstroke has enough damage. Jaina is up. She has her Icy Vein. She has her Water Elemental. I don't think that Popochas is able to end. Stitches is going to fall. Zul is going to fall. Only 70% on the core. It's definitely not enough. Lily and Gul'dan make it out with their lives. But already Catapult's beating down the core of Los Popochas. I think Deathstroke is just going to try and run it down mid and end the game. They still have all 5 heroes, no heroics. But what can they do? Lily is backing. Deathstroke is looking to end the game right now. Is the Gul'dan Lily going to be able to defend the core? Cassia's up in 15 seconds. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything about it. It's probably going to be too much damage from the Tychus and the Jaina. Leoric and Tomb comes down on the Gul'dan just to stall them. Deckard probably loses his life, but it doesn't matter. The core falls, and Deathstroke takes game 2 with a 2-0 over Popochas. Wow. What a game. What a series. I don't think anybody expected Deathstroke to do as well as they did against Popochas. I think Popochas were definitely the favorite going into that game. But I think, honestly, the MVP of the series is Dougie on the Tychus. The Tychus did so much work for them.